everybody, welcome back to another episode of Rehash, a Web3 podcast. I'm your host, Diana Chen, and today we're speaking with Naomi Metzger about how she's using Web3 to fund her way to the 2028 Olympics. Naomi is an 11-time British triple jump champion and was well on her way to the 2024 Paris Olympics when she suffered an injury and unfortunately wasn't able to compete. Since then, she's been documenting her recovery journey Onchain and is actually the first athlete to ever do so. I had the opportunity to chat with Naomi about her fitness journey, especially as she's been recovering from injury, as well as her Web3 journey from discovering NFTs back in 2021 to creating her own NFT project, Afrochicks, to now posting daily fitness videos on Warpcast and minting weekly videos Onchain. Naomi was an inspiration to me, and I hope you all feel as inspired by this episode as I felt recording it. Don't forget to join our community on Telegram as well to chat with fellow listeners and past guests. You can just join at t.me/rehashweb3. Naomi was nominated by Triumph and voted onto the podcast by Meg Lister, Spencer Graham, Lucas, Irina Marinescu, and myself, Diana Chen. So without further ado, here is my conversation with Naomi. Naomi Metzger, thank you so much for being here with us today. I'm really excited to have you on Rehash.
Thank you. I'm really excited to be on this podcast. I've heard about it. In fact, I was voted on. Really cool. So yeah.
Yeah, you were voted on. So the community really wanted to hear from you. And I'm really glad that they put you on my radar. I've met so many great people through this process, and you are one of them. So really excited to have you here today. I think you are the first professional athlete to be documenting your fitness journey to the Olympics Onchain. Is that right?
Yes, I think so. I mean, nobody's come out and said that it's them. So yeah, I'm going to claim that. That's sort of.
Yeah, I love that. So I kind of want to just go back all the way. We'll just start from the very beginning of how did you get into track and field, and specifically triple jump is the thing that you're kind of like really focused on, right?
I started off when I was 15 and I was a sprinter, but I was like really nervous because I was also like diagnosed with anxiety at the same time. So I couldn't handle like having to do one race. And if I mess it up, then it's like all over. So I switched to a field event, triple jump, because you get 6 attempts. So if I mess up the first one, it was like I get to do more. And I think because I felt so like calm, I immediately was drawn to it and became very good at it very early on. So at 16, I broke the British under-17 triple jump record, then became a senior sort of athlete on the Olympic program from the age of 20. So I'm 26 now, but I've had a really great career in triple jump, and I'm excited to take that on to the LA Olympics in 2028.
Yeah, that's awesome. So walk me through what happened with Paris, because you were on track to be part of the Paris Olympics and then it didn't quite pan out.
Yeah, so I had a really amazing 2022 season, ranked sort of top 10 in the world, and was really like on my way to go to Paris. But then in 2023, I had a knee injury, which required a surgery. I kind of got over that, got back to jumping. And then at the beginning of this year, in January, I had another major injury in my quad, which meant that I had to have another surgery. And it meant that I couldn't go to that Paris Olympics. So that was really tough. But I still managed to win the British Championships, I think 5 months after that surgery, which I was really pleased about. But I'd say, yeah, overall, it's been quite a hard year because that was like a big goal of mine. But now I'm trying to like refocus that energy into the LA Olympics instead. I've
been really focused on just like researching all sorts of things related to getting injured as an athlete and how to recover from that, because I've started running a lot more this year, and with that have faced like a bunch of injuries that I've tried to get over as well. And so I'm like constantly Googling things like that. And then when the Paris Olympics happened, I've always been a big gymnastics fan. And so I was following along the US women's gymnastics team. And obviously, like some of the athletes on the US gymnastics team faced some pretty serious injuries or health issues that they had to come back from, in that process as well. And you said you came back, 5 months after your big injury and with a big win. So like, what is that process like mentally and physically? Like, what is that process like when you're a professional athlete, you get injured, you have another event that you're competing in, you have goals, like you have something that you're working towards, and all of a sudden all of that is derailed? Like, what goes through your head at that point? How do you keep yourself on track to keep moving forward towards that, even when things may seem really grim?
Yeah, it's really strange because as an athlete, you are sort of one of the best in the country or maybe one of the best in the world. at your sport, and then suddenly like you can't even walk. So let alone be able to do your sport at a good level, you can't even just walk to the shops, just do a normal day to day. When you're injured, a lot of times you're kind of bedbound for a few weeks, which is really strange. But that gives you a lot of time to like reflect. So for me in that time, I think I just kind of went straight into, obviously I was really upset for the first few days. And then it was straight into sort of like, I guess, athlete mode of like, okay, what's the next goal and how am I going to get there? And for me, that goal was, it was still to try and make the Olympics, even though I knew that it was very slim. I'm still going to try. That meant I had to try and win that British Championship. So I did everything I could in terms of diet, researching, recovery techniques. I got recovery boots, lots of different things that could help me to recover quicker, which worked. But the main thing I actually did, because I'm a professional athlete, was go to an intensive rehab unit. So that meant I stayed over in this center kind of near London, where everything was catered towards rehabilitation. There was like a pool with a treadmill inside it where I had to do all my drills. There was lots of physio treatments. There was also sports psychology. And this was like really intensive, like all day training, basically, to try and get myself fit. Yeah, I'm really happy that I was able to get back to jumping this year. But yeah, it's definitely an emotional roller coaster. But once you start to see those milestones being hit again, it really gives you that boost of energy. Like, yeah, I can do this. I can get back.
Yeah, absolutely. Has it been a roller coaster for you at all? Like up and down, like you start to feel better and you get back into training and then you start feeling a little bit of injury coming on again and you have to take a step back. Is it really back and forth, or do you have a pretty good, trainer and support system where your training has been consistently on the up and up?
Yeah, I have a really good team, especially when I was just sort of off the back of the injury. I had a physiotherapist and also an strength and conditioning coach who basically like made me a little Google sheet with like every little target that they wanted me to hit, even if it was just like walking without a limp, all the way to bounding and then jumping again. And that having those people as well as my coach to support me was really helpful. I do think that it's more of a mental roller coaster because once you've had a serious injury, it gives you a lot of fear. You're like, if I do this again, is that injury going to happen again? So that makes you a bit more scared to hit those 100% or push even harder. But that's something which I've worked with the sports psychologist. So I'm hoping that when I go back to competing, even though I have been competing, I just hope that I'll be able to get back to that mental toughness, which I used to have, which was really giving it that 110%. Right now, I'd say I'm giving it like 90% because I'm that little bit apprehensive.
Totally. Yeah, I can totally relate to that. And it's also why, we see like kids out there just full sending everything they do because they have no fear of what can go wrong. And so they just like give it their all. And then the older we get, I think, the more we live through and the more injuries we live through, the more scared we become of really giving it our all because we know what can come from, going a little too far, pushing a little too hard. What have you found to be like generally some of the best tips for athletes who are dealing with an injury? Because at least from my experience, the biggest advice I get is rest, right? Rest. But rest is probably the hardest thing for athletes or even active people in general to do. And that's probably the last piece of advice they want to hear. So is there anything other than that you found in your routine that's been extremely helpful for you?
I think for me, it's finding something that you can do outside of sport. So for me, that's always like being creative. So I started to vlog my journey of being injured to getting back to that British champion status again. And that gave me something else in my mind on like editing takes hours. And if I'm kind of needing to rest, it's like what a great time to develop my editing skills. And same with artwork as well. I really love drawing, and again, drawing takes time. So even though it's very frustrating when you can't move as much as you'd like, there's a lot of things you can do without moving, and because of technology, we're able to do so much more. So I think that's something that I'd say, lean into something that you're passionate about, which doesn't require as much movement. You actually don't know what can come from that as well.
Love that. So with vlogging and documenting your journey, your healing journey, you have also decided to put all of that on chain. So walk me through, how did you learn about Web3 in the first place? And what made you, see that as your avenue of, I don't want to just make content for TikTok or Instagram, but I actually want to do this on chain?
I came into Web3 in late 2021, and this was during it wasn't quite a lockdown, but it was definitely restricted because of COVID. So I was stuck in a hotel room and I was kind of scrolling through TikTok and saw a video from Gary Vee about NFTs. And I was like, oh, what's this? I think I want to have a look about what is this all about? So I made a collection called Afrochicks, which was basically I wanted to make some diverse artwork, especially for the PFP space, because there wasn't many profile pictures with diverse styles. So I did that, and I realized that they were starting to sell, and then I ended up making around 70. And that was allowed me to fund that 2020 season, as in go to training camps and really get the best treatments and things like that. And I had a fantastic season. So I was like, okay, I really like this idea of almost sponsoring myself through like on-chain technologies. And also, I wore the NFT artwork on my kit when I competed. So I could shout out the holders by like pointing to it when the cameras came on me. And I really like created a sort of connection or relationship with the holders. And it was like, no, they're actually helping me to get to these spots. Like, they helped me to make these teams. Unfortunately, with the injury, I couldn't work out what I could post anymore. I was really sad. So I was like, I don't even want to post. But now coming back after this injury, I'm like, I just want to document it, good, bad. I just want to put it all on chain, and hopefully I can get new supporters and almost have like that permanent list of all of those people who were there supporting me and have helped me to get to my big goals. So then in the future, I'll be able to thank them, maybe give them tickets to come and watch. Like, there'll be really cool ways to like reward the holders, but that's sort of what my idea is.
Yeah, I love that. Did you see any other artists doing this, or any other creators or athletes or whoever doing this before you decided to go this route of like, because you've really connected the dots between like all the ways that NFTs can have real life utilities, right? Like, you can wear it on your uniform. You can, allow your holders to like maybe have a backstage pass to the locker room or to meet with you or something like that. So how were you able to connect all of these dots? Did you see other people doing similar things, or did you really just, like understand the technology so well and understand all the ways that it could be used like to the max?
Yeah, I think it was just a lot of trial and error, because I've been in the space for 3 years. I've seen all the different changes that happens. And I think Web3 on-chain is like, you have a lot of room to sort of explore, and there's always new things that are coming up. And I'm like, oh, how could I use that as an athlete? So it's only since I joined Blueprint, which is like a creator accelerator, which I really connected all the dots and thought about just like basically doing what I've been doing on Instagram and putting that on chain, because I created these two separate worlds of like Naomi the athletes for Instagram, and then Naomi the creator is for Web3. And I never thought, why don't I just like merge the two worlds and see how that can really work? And I think so far, I mean, I dropped my first video a few days ago and it's done really well. So I think, yeah, it kind of made sense when I did the Blueprint program and sort of geared myself in the similar, like kind of putting all my ideas in one fitness direction, rather than being like, I'm an artist and I do this and do this. Be like, okay, I'm going to focus on one thing and try and do that really well.
So is your focus now on these on-chain videos of you documenting your journey to the Olympics that I believe they're on Zora. I think I saw a link on Zora somewhere. Yeah, they're on Zora. Is that your main focus now, or are you still doing stuff with Afrochicks, or like what other projects are you involved in?
Yeah, so far, I think that's going to be my main focus, because it's like a more of a long-term focus. It's 4 years until the Olympics, and I think it'll be really cool to document that journey. I've become really active on Warpcast, so I post a lot of fitness content on there as well. And made like a little community there, still kind of called Team AC as an ode to Afrochicks. And I think I still want to create new artworks, but maybe in the new way that NFTs have changed. When I was doing it, it was sort of one-of-ones selling for like 0.05 ETH. But now it's kind of like more micro transactions. So I guess I might make like a smaller collection, maybe on base for like, maybe a free edition or something, just to keep that sort of diverse hairstyle thing that's really close to my heart alive. But my main focus is definitely going to be on documenting my journey.
So just real quick, wrapping up this Afrochicks thing. Afrochicks, the project is an NFT project. They're all self-drawn. And how many are there?
I think there's about 200 of them. And yeah, I absolutely love the collection. Like, even when I scroll down, I'm just so proud of it. I think there's only like 2 that's even on the floor, because everybody seems to have held onto it as well. So yeah, it's a really special collection to me, and I'm really proud of myself. But I don't know, like putting myself out there in the artwork. All of them have Nigerian names. My dad's Nigerian, so I really wanted to pay like homage to that. And then also just the really fun colors and things. And I'm really proud that I was able to run such a great season through that collection.
Yeah, the artwork is amazing. I can't believe you drew all of these yourself versus like just like a generative project where you put in the traits and, they crank out thousands of NFTs. Like this is really, really impressive work. And I would urge everyone to go check it out. I'm just like scrolling through the collection right now on OpenSea, and I am obsessed. I love how like the backgrounds are move in some of them too. What do you use to draw the NFTs?
I just use them Procreate on my iPad.
Yeah, awesome. Do you have a background in art?
I did, like, we call it GCSE. So that's sort of like when age 15, 16 at school, I did graphic design, but then that was it basically. So no, I kind of self-taught myself how to do the digital drawings, and I experimented with animation. But I actually didn't know that generative art was a thing. So I thought all these projects were drawing 10,000 different pieces. I was like, I don't know if I'm going to get to 10,000, but yeah, if I can get to 200, I'll be good.
Yeah. And have you been adding on more and more over time?
I have been. I think the last one was in 2022, and they were from a period of, I think, from January until December. So it was like a 1-year collection.
I'm asking mostly because, like you were saying, like hardly anybody is selling. Everyone's holding on to them. So it's really hard for like more people to get in. I'm just asking for selfish reasons, really.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I want to add to the collection, but I mean, maybe the holders, I might have to ask them, does anyone want to let go of one of them, maybe? But yeah, we'll see.
There's a gingerbread one that is like so fitting for the holidays that are coming up. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yes, I don't think that one actually sold, so maybe I'll be able to put that back up.
Ooh, well, if you do, let me know. Slide into the DMs maybe before you post anything, because I will scoop that one up. So with your videos now that are on Zora, what's your plan with that? Is it to upload one every day, or is it like one a week, or do you have like a longer term plan for that?
Yeah, so I want to upload one a week. I basically want to sort of summarize the week that's gone with sort of my reflections. I'm really trying to get better each video. My aim is always to make the next video better than the last. So I also want to see how my, I guess, filmmaking gets better as I keep documenting through the months and years.
Yeah. And is the goal to sort of give people like tips and tricks about how to heal from injury, like whether physically or mentally? Or is it like kind of like a longer form blog style video? I haven't had a chance to watch the first one that you just uploaded yet. So just curious what the format's going to be.
I think the format's going to be like a 1-word reflection. It's more of like a cinematic blog, but pretty short form. So I think they're around 50 seconds to a minute long. I kind of go with like a 1-word reflection and just basically talk through what I've sort of learned through that session or through that week of training. I don't want it to be too literal. Like today I did this in the gym and then I did that. I kind of want to reflect, almost like a diary entry of that week. And I think it'd be really cool, especially if there's a week where the phrase is like victory because I've just won like a championship or something. I think that'd be really cool just to see what word that week sort of has.
Yeah, and these will all be open editions on Zora.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I mean, I'm not sure exactly what platform I'm going to stick with, but now I'm enjoying Zora. They've been really supportive and put it on the homepage. So that's really cool.
Nice. That's awesome. That's super exciting. So I want to go over to Warpcast because you are super active and very well known on Warpcast. How did you discover Warpcast and what like drew you into it initially over Twitter, like what everybody, or Instagram, because you're active there as well?
I think I saw it on X because I saw a post from Alex Masbej from Dracula about a challenge where you needed a Farcaster account, and I had no idea what it was. But I kind of wanted to have a look at Dracula as it was short form video. So I downloaded Warpcast. I didn't really love it at first because I didn't know what to do. I was kind of just like, hi, I'm Naomi. Is anyone there type of thing? And then I actually reached out to Ted on X and we had a call and she told me like, you need to post your fitness content because I was just posting, hey guys. I mean, why would somebody follow an account that's just posting like, hey? So I started to, talk more about what I was doing. And then I started to give a few tips. Yeah, alongside doing the blueprint program. I started to post twice a day and daily workouts. And then my account, so I've only been on there for about 3 months, but the growth's been like really fast.
Wow, that's super incredible. What tips do you have for people other than just the consistent posting to like really like grow their following on Warpcast?
I think it's finding something that you're like either an expert in or like extremely passionate about, even if that's like chess to cooking. And then really just giving all the tips that sharing all the thoughts. If you have like a really cool TikTok video about that topic and just sort of leaning in and being like, I'm going to own this topic. And because Farcast is really big on channels. And I think if you can almost be like the leader of that channel, I think that's how you can grow your following. So for me, my niche was fitness. So I'm going to post in this fitness channel every single day. It has like 100,000 or more people in that channel. So they're going to see the content. And if I'm providing value to them, then it should grow the page. So whatever your like specific niche or area of expertise is, like just double down on that. And then once you've sort of established your following, then you can start being like, hey guys, like random stuff again.
Yeah.
But yeah, I had like a month of straight focus on one.
What do you think of the new channels update where people used to just be able to pick a channel and post in it, and now you have to be a member of a channel approved by the admin in order to be able to post in it?
I think it's good and not great sometimes. I think it's not great because some channels aren't very clear how to become a member. But I know that Dan has worked on like allowing channels to be public again. So some channels are public, but I think it's also good for channel owners because if not, there could be a lot of spam that gets posted in the channel. And then if somebody is going to the cooking channel to find some recipes from experts, they're just getting some random like content that has nothing to do with the topic. So I think moderation is needed, but I think also for new accounts, it is really nice to have a space where you can just go and talk without having to like request can you join and have a certain amount of followers and things like that. But I do think there's definitely some open channels. So if you're a newcomer, you'll definitely be able to find somewhere where you can like get settled in, and you can always message the channel owners and they're probably going to let you in once they see that you're a real person and not a bot.
Yeah. Have you observed that the vibe has changed in the channels where maybe like before the change, from what I was seeing at least, and I've been trying to get more active on Warpcast, but obviously not nearly as active as you've been. But from what I saw, it seems like channels were just a good place for people with similar interests to kind of meet each other and talk about those interests. And now it seems like channels are more almost like group chats instead of like social platform. You know, where they're like a closed group chat, you can only join if you have an invite in there or know somebody. And it's a lot like cozier of a space. And I don't think either one is better or worse than the other. I think they just serve completely different purposes. Have you observed that that's been like the shift in the vibe since the channels have changed? Or like what have you observed in actuality has happened since the change happened?
I think I've observed that people are just a lot more intentional with the channels that they post in because of the chance that they can be removed from the channel. So I think almost the moderator has a bit more control over before it was kind of like a free for all. In some ways, again, that's good because say that the channel's about something really specific and someone's just like trolling, then after a while, yeah, it's funny. But then after a while, it can be like, no, we actually just want to see things on that topic. But I guess I have noticed that engagement slightly down because if you see that somebody's posting in that channel and you're not a member of that channel, you might not feel like you want to comment on that, or if you're welcome to speak in space. With my channel that I've created called Team AC Track Club, I've kind of tried to make it as open as I can with basically it not really being too focused on the members, but being focused on the followings and every week doing like an open workout to earn sort of mini challenge. And I think that's been a way to encourage people that no, this is not a channel where you have to be a member to speak. Like everyone's free to be involved in this. So I think it's really kind of up to the moderators to make that space actually feel cozy for people and not just feel like a tweet. So I think it's really important to moderate with a bit of, I don't know, emotion and treating people as equal rather than being like, yeah, I'm the boss and yeah, these are my subjects type of thing.
Right. Yeah. Do you think it's a good idea for everybody to start their own channel, like their personal channel, just as like a place to hang out with their friends? Or should people like have more of a strategy around it than just like a cozy place to hang out with friends?
I think people should have a strategy around it. I think there's a lot of really amazing channels with a lot of people who could basically not only you can become great friends with, but also like add value like both ways. So I think not that making a channel isn't for everyone, but finding a channel where you think that you can provide value, you feel like you can really add to that discussion can be really, really helpful. And also a good thing is that the algorithm I've noticed doesn't really change if you don't post in a channel. Like if you just post out just without a channel, it's just going to go to all your followers anyway. And then you can almost make your own feed or your own page, that cozy corner, without having to put it in a channel at all.
Right. That makes sense. What would you like to see change with Warpcast before you start onboarding all of your friends to Warpcast? Like you start telling your like non-crypto friends, you should join Warpcast. Like this is such a fun place to be. Or have you already tried to onboard some of your non-crypto friends to Warpcast?
I have been talking about it a lot to my friends. But I think the reason I haven't onboarded just yet is just because I'm kind of waiting for it to settle. With the channel changes and with like, there's a lot of frequent changes. And I just remember when Facebook would change its layout and everybody would like flip out. So I kind of want to make sure that it's a bit more settled and I'd even come to grips with it. Like it's only been 3 months on there. So I don't want all my friends to come on and then they post for a week and then leave because that's no use to the platform either. So I think once I kind of got to grips with how it works and seen that it's sort of settled and like there's not going to be any more major changes in a while, or at least like ones that are going to affect the algorithms and all that stuff, then I will probably then tell my athlete friends to start creating content from there as well.
Where do you see the future of decentralized social? Because we have platforms like Warpcast, we have Lens, we have Blue Sky, all of these different platforms. And it seems like very fragmented still. And it almost seems like the people who get onto these platforms early are the ones that are able to find the most success. I think you're actually like a good example of like when that's not true, because you've only been on for a few months. So definitely like cases like yours exist as well. But for the most part, it seems like the people who have really large followings on Warpcast, for example, are people who like don't actually have really big followings on Twitter, and that people who have really big followings on Twitter don't really give Warpcast a fair chance because they're like, I already have my community on Twitter. Why would I go and restart and rebuild everyone from scratch on a new platform? What do you think about that? And I guess like, how do you think we'll onboard everybody over to decentralized social in the long run when we've seen the stronghold that Twitter has on all its existing users?
Yeah, I think for me, it's basically the decentralized finance aspect of it, the ability for people to tip the content that they think is valuable is something that I just haven't seen on any other platform. And I know that Twitter has been able to like create monetization for users, but the thresholds to get to that is like quite high. I can't remember if it's like 1 million views or 5 million views that you need on the tweet in order to even get started on that program. Whereas with Warpcast, literally within the first week, you could start to earn like some crypto just by sharing, for example, what you did that week using on-chain tools like Base, or you could be tipped in Degen or Moxie. There's USDC rewards for top casts of the day, and that's every single day. And I know that Lens also has like rewards and ways for people to earn as well through their posts. And why that's different for me than, say, Instagram is because with Instagram, if I want to be sort of monetized, I can't be monetized because I'm from the UK, so there's not even that system for posts from the UK. Secondly, if I want to work with a brand, they're going to give me a script of exactly what they want me to say, and that might not be genuine for my followers. And I also feel a little bit weird doing that because I feel like I'm just, I don't know, like a billboard, but I'm not a person. Whereas I feel like what sets the decentralized social media apart is that I can be completely myself, post exactly what I want. And if people just value that, then they can reward or tip that content. And that's a really good way, especially as an athlete who's unsponsored, to be able to finance all the training camps and recovery techniques, whatever that I need to get money for, basically. So it really has worked out for me. And I think even for smaller users, it works out for them as well. Even if it's just 5 USD coin a day, that's more than you get posting on X if you haven't met those thresholds. So yeah, I think it's a really unique way to sort of earn online, and it makes you make better content as well when you feel like you're valued.
Do you think we're at a place where it's realistic to start onboarding, say, your fellow athletes who don't really know much about Web3 or crypto yet onto on-chain platforms, whether it's Warpcast or Lens or Zora? Do you think like we're ready? We're at a point where we can start onboarding all of these people? And like, if you just said what you just said to one of your athlete friends who doesn't know much about Web3, do you think how do you think they would respond?
Yeah, I think they definitely would respond well to it. But I think it takes both sides. Like I could onboard an athlete friend, but then it would also take these platforms to then lift these people up. Even if it's not an athlete friend, even if it's just a newcomer, if they feel welcomed when they enter this space, it might make them be like, okay, maybe this is somewhere where I want to stick around. Whereas if they just enter a space and it's like just avoid and they don't know what they're doing and it's really complicated, then they might just leave and never ever go back. And there's some people who are making amazing content in all corners of the internet who they don't really know anything about these platforms, but they could be a real benefit. So I think these protocols who've got like so much finances could do a little more to get these amazing creators on these platforms just by highlighting them and showing them to the users who are already here. So yeah, that's kind of what I think can happen. I do think that they're doing an amazing job though. Like the Zora app, almost because it's so familiar to what we've seen in Web 2, it makes you feel more comfortable. So the Zora app looks like Instagram. Warpcast looks slightly like Twitter, a little bit like Reddit. So it's kind of familiar. So I think they're doing a really good job of making these things less scary.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially with like Rodeo too. That
yeah, of course.
That feed looks just like Instagram, right?
Yeah.
I was talking to someone recently too who was saying that instead of, using the word collect or mint to refer to like collect this on-chain video or whatever it is, she was like, if there was a way to almost just make it a like button to like show your support and you're still doing a free collect or whatever it is, like she's like, I would be so much more willing to just do that. Like you can scroll and like, and you're just you're collecting them for free. But she was like, I think we're so stuck in this interface of, this lingo that we've always used of collect or mint. And maybe like a refresh would help also to make, the mainstream audience feel a little bit more comfortable with these apps too, to like equate it to more, terms that they're more familiar with, like just like this. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think that's the pretty interesting point. I think Moxie have sort of implemented that, not really with the collecting, but basically tipping people just through a like or a cast. I think that was like a really seamless way of getting people to kind of get on board with token tipping and things without it feeling like they had to do anything to do with wallets, which was quite cool. But I do think that's a pretty good idea just to make it as familiar as possible. But in some ways, I do like the fact that Web3 chain is different and has different words. And at some point, I guess like 20 years ago, a like wouldn't have meant anything or a retweet wouldn't have meant anything. But I guess the more you stick with it, it could stick as well. So yeah, I don't know. It's a good idea. I think maybe one platform should try it out and then another could stick and see which one works. But I think that's the thing. Things are always like growing and evolving. So it'd be really cool to see what is going to resonate more.
So much of it is just experimenting and trial and error. If you were, working at one of these protocols or like working on the back end tech of, anything creator related, what would be like your top 3 things that you would fix in order to make it more usable for the masses?
I think it would be wallets. For one, this wallet addresses, I think the base names is really cool, but I still don't even feel like if I just type in somebody's base name, it doesn't feel like it's going to actually go to them. That hasn't stuck in my head yet. I'm so scared of sending things to the wrong wallet, my funds being lost. Like, I think the basically just making wallets easier, Face ID to collect. Like that's what I would want, rather than having to do too much like copying and pasting wallets and being scared I'm going to lose like a load of money. So that's one thing. I think another thing is just really like celebrating creators, kind of, just pushing creators, helping them out, whether that's through like a creator rewards program. I don't know. TikTok do a similar thing where they monetize content pretty seamlessly. So I think that's another one. And then the last one would be basically turning crypto into real money. That's the thing that I can't even explain to my parents. It's like I have to download this app and then I have to send it from this app to this app and then I withdraw it and then have to like hope it goes to my bank in time to make a payment. And I think when more places start to take crypto as a payment, that would be like really cool. But because there's only one way of withdrawing funds to real money and it's not super straightforward, that would be the last thing that I would change.
I love all of those things. I think the wallet problem is probably the one I hear of the most and the one that we would have thought could be fixed by now. But I will say that there have been huge strides made in that department over time. Also with just like having better alert systems for scams and having the like transaction hash be a little bit more human readable. Like we've definitely made progress there, but it can be even more seamless, I think. Spoken as a non-dev who doesn't actually know what's possible and what's not.
Yeah, I would say like from the kind of the change from when I first started in 2021 to now it's like crazy. Like I remember in 2021, I don't think I could do much with my phone. I had to always go on my laptop. Gas fees were crazy. So all these Layer 2s that are coming out and making it almost free to mint things and send things is just really amazing. So yeah, shout out to all the devs who are like working hard and building all these things. And I'm just saying for people who are complete newbies, there's still little sticky things that I think could be even better. But I know these things take time and I'm sure you're all working on it. So go you.
What do you think is the future of NFTs since you've been around? You kind of came in when the last big wave of NFTs was around in 2021, and then you stuck around through the bear, and here you are still. Where do you think we're headed next?
I really don't know. I guess at the moment, I'm seeing a lot of like almost NFTs turning into tokens or turning almost into currency. I think it's a really interesting thing. I still don't know what to make of it. But I think it's very cool seeing how this secondary market has almost turned into art has turned into coin. So yeah, I don't really know where we're headed next, but I think it is a really cool way for people to be able to fund their big projects. And also I'm seeing a lot more AI involvement in artwork and also with AI agents. So I think if AI agents could be a way for also imagine like the athlete being funded because AI agent has read through their proposal and decided to fund them. So rather than them having to try and find a sponsorship or do a crowdfund, they could just like approach AI agent. So I don't know. I feel like it's just heading in a way where there's a lot less like, I don't know, traditional leadership being like yes or no. It's more like everybody's just doing their own thing and raising the funds and creating the future that they kind of want to see. So it's cool. And I'm excited to see what's going to happen next.
Are you excited about all the AI that's developing as a creator? Because I think creators, especially artists, are a bit split between whether they think AI is a good thing or a bad thing. Which side of the coin do you stand on?
I think that like real and traditional art is amazing and I'll always value it. And I think it's always super special. But I think AI is also pretty amazing too. And also is special. And I think I've seen both be used in amazing ways. So yeah, I'm kind of like on both teams. It's like I want artists to be credited for their work and I want real art to be celebrated as much as AI. But at the same time, I think the things that people are able to do with AI is just really, really amazing. And one artist in particular, or Juju Mama, kind of has created a whole she basically got a load of African artists, both traditional and AI, and made a collection. And I think it's really beautiful, kind of seeing, African art in a futuristic way. And I don't know, there's just lots of interesting things that can be done with AI. So I'm a big fan of both.
I definitely think it's case by case because when I think about projects like Afrochicks, for example, I think it's really beautiful that you hand drew all 200 in your collection versus if I were like, hey, you can use AI and make a collection of 10,000 with one click. Like, would you do it?
No.
Exactly. Right.
No.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Because so much of what the Afrochicks collection is all the work that you put into it and like all the time and, like the emotional work that you put into it. And to replace all of that with AI and to like generate the whole collection with one click would just take away all of that from your collection, which is such a big part of it.
Yeah, I definitely agree with my collection. I would not want to do that. But I think it is really cool to see how some artists are sort of blending their traditional art with AI. So not necessarily using one click, but maybe using loads and loads of prompts with their own artwork to create something that's even, I don't know, I'm not going to say better, but just very different, which other people might appreciate. So yeah, I think I don't really like using AI as almost like a cheat code. But I think if you almost collaborate with AI to make your work different, I think that's, is kind of an interesting way to look at art.
Yeah, that's so true. Have you tried playing around with it at all with artwork or with your videos or anything?
No, I haven't really used AI for my artwork. I do definitely use it sometimes with my content. For instance, I did a Q&A with an Olympic athlete called Jess, and I was able to get the transcript of that and then just make a quick summary for my captions and things like that, which I find really helpful because that's not my priority. That's just something that I'm doing as part of like Warpcast and growing my audience and helping people to get fit. But I don't really have time to be like summarizing the whole thing. So using AI sometimes for that type of thing has been really helpful to allow me to be more creative rather than just replacing my creativity.
Totally. Yeah. I know Humpty, I don't know if you know him from Crypto Sapiens, does that a lot with like our early morning crew episodes. Like we just record it and then he feeds it through like a GPT and it cranks out this whole article for him. And obviously like he has to like, play around with it a little bit and train it a little bit, but it's gotten to the point where it's like really good. Like he'll send us the first draft of things and I'm like, wow, this is actually like pretty good writing. Like it does not look like it was written by AI. It looks like it's like your writing style. It's quality writing. Like it's gotten pretty impressive. And I've also seen like podcasters use it too with AI voice tools. So like, for example, you can have, I want to say it's Laura Shin's podcast, Onchain, where she'll do like a news segment at the end. And I think she just writes up like the news from the week and then has an AI voice just read it at the end.
Wow. I've actually not even heard of that. That's crazy. I didn't know you could do that.
And I mean, you can basically like recreate your own voice on some of these apps. And then, or you can also use like another voice. So like I have another friend who has a podcast and he's like, he likes to get really creative and artsy with the production of his podcast. And he has this like female voice that he uses to introduce his podcast and will like interject and make these jokes and things like that. And it just like adds production value to it. And it's really, It's actually like really funny and like really well made too. So I love when people can use these new AI tools creatively and like do cooler things with it instead of, like you said, just like using it to take shortcuts.
100%. Yeah, that's really cool.
So looking ahead to 2028 then, are we, oh God, I have like no concept of time. What are, I guess you'll be posting your on-chain videos every week. You're continuing to train. What else can we expect from you? And how can we support you?
Definitely follow me on X and on Warpcast, because that's where I'm posting everything that I'm up to. New opportunities and things are sort of coming randomly, so I kind of don't know what's next. But I think definitely stay following me, and you kind of will see what I'm going to get up to next. But for now, yeah, please check out my Zara profile where I posted the first video. And yeah, just please watch it and maybe collect it and be part of that story as well.
Awesome. And I'm going to grab all those links from you after this too, so I can add it to the show notes to make it easy for people to click through. And then finally, I've been asking every guest this season this question, but going into 2025, what is one word or one phrase that you would like to put out into the world to describe the state of 2025?
I'm going to say limitless. I want to like let go of limiting beliefs and also like break through previous limits that I've done, such as like my personal best in triple jump or the amount of followers I've had on the platform. I just want to break through all these limits and yeah, just keep aiming high.
I love it. What a positive note to go out on. Thank you so much, Naomi, for joining us today. I'm glad we were able to make this work. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in, and we'll be back again next week with another episode of Rehash. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of Rehash. Rehash is hosted and produced by me, Diana Chen, and supported by our community of NFT holders who curate our guest lineup each season. To get involved, head over to our website at rehashweb3.xyz and collect this episode as an NFT. Anyone who collects an episode becomes part of the Rehash community and will be able to nominate guests for future seasons. Also, be sure to follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at RehashWeb3 or on Warpcast and Lens at Rehash, and join our community on Telegram at t.me/RehashWeb3 to hash it out with fellow listeners. If you enjoyed this episode, please rate, review, and subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you again next time.